This screen is the first screen you're going to see when you open up ThinkorSwim, but we need to do one thing first before we really get started in learning about this platform. I want you to take your little pretty eyeballs and I want you to look up in the top left-hand corner. Does it say delayed data? For most people, it probably will say delayed data in the top left of ThinkorSwim. That's no good because that means that your stock prices are being updated 20 minutes behind everybody else, so we need to fix that. To fix this, go to tdameritrade.com, log in, then go to Client Services, Subscriptions, and make sure you are subscribed to NASDAQ Real-Time Level 2 Quotes. Once you are and it's free, you can restart ThinkorSwim and you should see real-time data in the top left-hand corner. If you don't, just restart it again. If you still don't see it, leave a comment. I'll try to help you out. You'll also notice as we go throughout this tutorial that it is geared towards beginners. That means we're not going to cover everything that this complicated platform has to offer, and we're not going to go into granular detail over the things that we do cover. So you're going to find that some things you might be personally interested in, and I don't go into enough detail or don't cover at all. That's where you're going to use this education tab right here. So we're in Education, Learning Center. Click on How to ThinkorSwim. Click any of these links right here. And now I can search for anything to do with ThinkorSwim, and it's going to pull up a video tutorial explaining that section of this platform. So for example, we're not going to cover the Market Watch tab today, but if you are interested in what that is and how you might use it, you can search it here. And here's a video that you can play and learn how to use the Market Watch tab, what it is, and all that jazz. So this is where you're going to go if you want more information, if you didn't feel like I covered something in enough detail. So let's go back to the screen we were just looking at, which is the home screen. You can always come back to the home screen by clicking home screen in the top right-hand corner. In the middle here, we have a 2x3 grid of widgets, and I absolutely hate that word, but that's what they are. They're little boxes of information, and we can change what information is displayed in each box by hovering over it, clicking this icon that looks like two arrows pointing towards each other. And then there's a decent selection of things that you can have displayed in each one of these little boxes. For example, I can go to market data, go to quote, I can type in a ticker, and now I can see a quote of this company. What you have displayed in these boxes is up to you and what you are interested in, but not a lot of time is going to be spent on your home screen. This is not where you do your trading or anything like that. It's just to see little snippets of information. On the right-hand side of our home screen, we have some content provided by TD Ameritrade, so we're just going to push that to the side. On the left-hand side, we have a side pane that is going to be there no matter where we go through the platform. Each one of these little boxes is customizable. These are just the default gadgets, they call them, that you're going to find on your side pane. So from top to bottom, we have our balances and a buying power. We have live news, so I could search up a ticker, click on an article, and I can read an article. There's Trader TV, where you can watch a handful of different networks. And we have our watch list, which I'll show you how to make a watch list here in a little bit. And we have a quick chart where we can quickly see a stock chart of any ticker we want to look up. These are all customizable. You can hover over this pane here and you can switch the gadget for something else. You can delete it. You can even detach it, which will bring it out into a different window. When you go to switch a gadget, you'll see there's a lot of different things to choose from. So again, your side pane is up to you on how to customize it and what you're interested in seeing. So while this will follow us no matter where we go throughout the platform, we can always hide it by dragging this bar to the left. So like I said, not a lot of time is spent on your home screen. This is maybe just where you start your day or week, or maybe just to see some blips of information from time to time. The majority of your time is going to be spent in these tabs up here, from monitor all the way over to education. Let's briefly cover these tabs so you can get some context going to this platform. So let's start over at monitor. Under each tab, you'll find a few sub-tabs. So for monitor, we have activity and positions, account statement, and strategy roller. In activity and positions, this is where you're going to see your positions, all your open positions. How are they performing? What's your profit and loss? What is your average cost per share? That kind of thing. You're also going to see your working, filled, and canceled orders. We're not going to cover rolling strategies, nor are we going to cover strategy roller today. It's kind of an intermediate topic. So this is where you go to see a snapshot of how your positions are performing. Because we don't have any positions open, we don't see a lot of information here, but we'll open some in just a minute. The next sub-tab under monitor is account statement. This is important to review all the trades in your account over a certain time period. Your activity and position sub-tab, it's just for your open positions, or maybe positions you close for the day, but once you close the position, you won't see it the next trading day, it's gone. But you will find it in your account statement where you can see all your order and trade history as well as all your profit and losses. Like I said, we're not going to cover strategy roller. The trade tab, while you can trade anything in this tab, for me is primarily used to trade options. So if I type in a ticker really quick, you'll see all these different options chains, and we're going to use these in a little bit to trade options. Next is the Analyze tab. For me, primarily, I use this tab to analyze fundamentals of a company and also analyze the theoretical profit and loss of option strategies. Scan tab, you can create your own scanner to scan for certain stocks using specific criteria. We're not going to cover Market Watch. Charts tab is where I do all my charting and pretty much all my stock trades. It's really convenient to do stock trades while you're looking at a stock chart, in my opinion. We're not covering tools, and then that brings us back to education. So as we go forward, especially with just stock trades, you're going to notice I'm mostly flicking between charts and monitor, back and forth, because charts is where I enter my stock trades, and monitor is where I keep track of how my trades are doing and maybe close some positions. The rest of the trades are pretty superfluous when it comes to trading stocks. So if you're just getting warmed up to the platform, just think charts and monitor, because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time if you use this platform the way I use it. Let's get this chart looking pretty. The first thing we want to do is get this volume overlaid on the chart. To do this, go to this cog on the blue bar. In the bottom right, you'll see overlap volume. Make sure that is ticked, hit apply. Now you see the volume is overlaid on the chart. Let's go back to chart settings again. We have a couple more things we want to do. Go to the time axis tab. For expansion area, put it to 50 or really anything greater than 0. That's going to give us some room on the right-hand side of our graph. And lastly, go to the equities tab. In the bottom left, make sure show extended hours and highlight extended hours are both ticked. Hit apply. This way, when we get into an intraday time frame, like a 5-minute candlestick chart, it'll be easy to identify what is extended hours trading and what is normal market hours trading. So right now, we're looking at a daily chart, and you can see this because there's a D up here on the blue bar. If I click on this, I can select from a handful of different time frames, where the first number indicates how much time we're seeing. Like overall, we're seeing 5 days worth of information for this one right here. And the second number is how much each candle is worth. So we're seeing 5 days of price information, and each candle is 5 minutes worth of price changes. So you can flick through these however you want. You want the daily, 184 hour, and now you can see all that highlighted area is extended hours market trading. If I go down to the 5-minute, you can see a little bit better. So the darker area is normal market hours. The white area is extended market hours. You can customize these time frames by going to customize list, but I'm going to let you do that on your own. It's pretty intuitive. To navigate through your chart, hit your middle mouse wheel and select pan. This is going to allow you to drag across your chart wherever you want to go. If you want to zoom in, hit middle mouse button again, go to trend line, click, then drag and let go, and it'll zoom in on that selection. To zoom back out again, hit middle mouse button, do pan, and double click. Let's go back to the daily time frame. And let's zoom in on a more reasonable selection here. Let's add some indicators to this chart. To add indicators, or studies as they're called, hit Control plus E. Here we can search for basically any indicator we want. For example, we can add the VWAP. We can add some moving averages. We can add MACD. They have everything. So just search for whatever indicator you know of and are familiar with or wanting to learn, and you will find it on this platform. We can edit the details of each indicator by hitting the cog next to it. So for example, this simple moving average is a 9 moving average. We can change that by hitting this cog and changing the length of that moving average. So maybe we want a 200 moving average. Just change it to 200. And perhaps we want the color to be green. We can change it to green if you want. Hit apply. And now we have our studies on the chart. If we go to an intraday time frame, you can see that the VWAP is there, where the top band is one standard deviation to the upside, the bottom band is one standard deviation to the downside. And we can change the colors to not look like total garbage by hitting that cog I showed you just a moment ago. Cool, now we have our chart set up. Let's actually get rid of the VWAP because it is pretty ugly. Let's do some basic stock trades now. There are a million different places on this platform where you can buy and sell stock. I'm just going to show you a couple because it's really all you need and it's really all I use. The first way is by going to the trade tab over on the right. This is going to bring up a bar where we can buy and sell the company we have typed here in this box. So if you want to change what company we're buying or selling, we just type in a different ticker, hit enter. That'll pull up that company's chart, and now we're buying and selling that company. If I click this drop-down arrow, we can change the quantity that we want to buy. So for example, we might buy 10. Now by default, this quantity is going to be 10. That means every time you come here and hit a buy order, you're going to be sending off an order for 10 shares if you don't change the quantity. If you want to change the default quantity, go up to setup in the top right-hand corner. Go to application settings, go to order defaults, change this to probably 1 or whatever you want it to be. And I would also change order quantity increments to 1 and then hit apply settings. That way, whenever you open up this bar, whenever you hit trade, it's going to bring up 1. So it's ready just to buy 1 share. And every time you hit plus or minus here, it's going to increase and decrease it by an increment of 1. Okay, so we're primed and ready to buy 1 share of Activision right now. Our order type is market, which means we're going to get filled as soon as possible at the best available price. And our time in force is day, which means that if we don't get a fill by the end of the day, this order will be canceled. Now, one problem, I don't have any money in this account, but one of the coolest features ThinkorSwim has to offer is their on-demand feature. So if you go to the top right and click on on-demand, what this is going to allow us to do is go back in time and simulate trading in the past. So you see this calendar here, we can go back to any day. We can go back years, go back to May 18th, 2018. And if I hit go, we're back at May 18th, 2019, and we can simulate trading back on this day without using our actual money. So let's go ahead and buy some AMD. All we do is hit buy market. This is going to bring up an order confirmation dialog window, which is basically double checking, making sure you are comfortable entering this trade, that you know what you're doing, and gives you the chance to correct anything in case you accidentally fat fingered or basically did something you didn't mean to do. But we want to buy 1 share of Activision at market to open. So let's go ahead and send this off. There we go. We got a confirmation in the top left-hand corner that says we bought 1 share of Activision at $71.26. There, that's one way to buy stock, and we'll get to how to monitor that in a second. Let's go over my second favorite way to buy stock. Let's click on this trade tab to get rid of that bar. The second way to buy stock is by right-clicking the price up here at the top, selecting buy. This is going to bring up a little bit of a different window at the bottom, but basically we just go left to right to make sure that this is what we want to do. So we want to buy stock. We want to buy one of them. The ticker is Activision. We want to buy at the market price, and our time in force is day. But let's say we don't want to buy at market price. Let's say we want to buy maybe a little bit lower. We want to enter a limit order. We can change this to limit, and we can change to what price we want our order to execute at. So if we want to get into the trade, if Activision drops down to 70, we can type in 70 here, hit confirm and send it off. Now we can see our limit order on the chart itself, which is really cool. It helps you visualize where your order is at. And you can also just drag this order around if you want it to go to a different price. So if I want to set a limit order at 66 instead, I just drag it down and let go, hit send. Now that limit order automatically cancels and gets replaced by this new one at 66. If you want to cancel this order, just click the X right next to it. Let's say we're getting bored and we don't want this limit order anymore. We actually just want to make it a market order. We can right click on it, cancel and replace. Switch this to market, hit confirm and send. There we go. We bought another share of Activision. So now we've purchased 2 shares of Activision. Where can we monitor our positions? Well, you probably guessed it. It's over in the monitor tab. Make sure you're on activity and positions. And here we can see our open positions. We have Activision. We have 2 shares of it at an average price of $71.21. The current price of the stock, how much the stock has changed for the day, our profit loss open, and our profit loss day. Now, all this information is customizable. If I go to this cog to the right, we can add different info. There's a lot to choose from, so it's up to you to peruse this, but I'll tell you a few. My favorites are going to be profit loss year, profit loss percent, and then if I'm trading options, I might add delta and gamma and vega and that kind of thing, but we won't do that right now. So if I hit OK, now we have that extra information, profit loss year to date, profit loss as a percentage. So this is really where you go to see how you're doing for each position, as well as your portfolio as a whole, because you'll be able to see your overall profit loss year to date. You can see a graph of your net assets over time on your TD Ameritrade website. When you first log in, it'll be on your home screen. Now, let's say we want to close out of our position. Well, there's multiple ways to do it. One way is we could go back here and we could just sell market. We could sell our 2 shares. But the problem with this is you have to make sure and be certain that you have the exact same quantity when you're selling here as you have open. Otherwise, it'll result in a short position. So you want to be selling the same amount that you own to close your position. To ensure that you're doing that, the best way to close out of a position is in your monitor tab. All you have to do is right click anywhere along this highlighted row where your stock is at, go to create closing order, sell to Activision. That's going to bring up a familiar window where we can edit our order, but if we're just wanting to sell at the market price, it's going to default to that. So we can just confirm and send. Now we've closed out of the position, but you can see when we went to close it, it brought us over to the trade tab. So we have to go back to the monitor tab to make sure that it was closed. Here you can see the quantity is 0. You can see your profit loss, but this will only stay here for the trading day. Tomorrow this will be gone, and you'll only be able to find this information in the account statement. Here you can see our filled orders, which is the 2 buy orders and the 1 sell to close order. And you can see canceled orders, which is going to be our limit order when we moved it around. So now that we've covered how to buy and sell stock and where you go to do that, as well as monitor your positions, let's go ahead and open some options trades. I trade options in the trade tab. So if I want to trade SPY options, I'll type in SPY at the top left here. Now, something to note, this little red number is how you link charts to this tab. So if I go over to the charts page here, you can see how this automatically switched to SPY. And if I switch this to AMD and go back to trade, this automatically switched to AMD. Because there's a red one here and a red one here, they are linked. They're going to change together, which is pretty handy, especially when you're like charting some stock. Like if I'm charting Activision and I decide I want to buy options on Activision and I go back to the trade tab, it's automatically pulled up the same chart I was just looking at, the same stock. So make sure that they share the same color if you want them to display the same stock or underlying. So down here we have all the expiration dates for all the options. Let me go ahead and go to the 15th of June, 2018. Remember, we're trading in the past, so the expiration is 15th of June, 2018. Let's click on this arrow to unfurl this options chain. In the middle here, you can see under strike, we have our different strike prices. We obviously don't have very many. Like this is too few to trade with. To change how many strikes you see, just change the number in this box right here. So let's go ahead and change it to 12. This gives us a little bit more options to work with. So in the middle, we have our strikes for both calls and puts. On the left, we have our call options. So each one of these rows is a call option. On the right, we have our put options. Each one of these rows is a put option. The information that you see in these rows falls right underneath the titles here. So you can see the asking price, the bid price, the net change, and the last traded price. You can change this information by clicking on layout right here. And there's some default ones that you might be interested in, or you can customize it and add certain information. For example, I could add the implied volatility of these options, hit OK, and now we can see the implied volatility. Since we're trading on demand, it's not actually showing the implied volatility. It doesn't load that data. If you want to buy a single leg option, what you're going to do is hit the ask, which means you're going to click on the asking price. You can see as I hover over the asking price, we see a little box that says buy. That means we intend to buy this option. If we want to sell this option, hit the bid, which means hover over the bid and click it. But since we want to buy an option, we're going to click the asking price. Now you can see we are buying a call. It's a call option that's a 70 strike. And you can see that the color of this row is blue. That means that it is in the money. We can confirm that because we can see the price of Activision. It's $71.53. And if we're buying a 70 strike call, that means we're buying in the money. So let's go ahead and do that. If I click on buy, it's going to bring up the familiar window that we've already seen. We can see the order default is 10 again, so let's change that. Go to setup in the top right, go to application settings, go to order defaults, go to options, and change this to something more reasonable like 1. Let's work our way left to right here. So we're buying a single option, buy single. We're buying one option. The underlying is Activision. Our expiration date is the 15th of June, 2018. And now all these can be changed, right? I can change the expiration date down here if I'd like. The strike is 70, which I can also change. The type is call, which I can change to put if I'd like. And we can enter a limit order now. Now, instead of popping up here and looking at what the bid ask is and trying to figure out where to put our limit order, we can see the bid ask or part of it down here, where 3.00 is the mid price and 305 is the natural or asking price. When you see nat, that means the price where you're going to get filled likely immediately. We can enter market orders for options on ThinkorSwim, which might be good if you're day trading, but if you're not day trading, I recommend setting a limit order. That guarantees you a more better price if you do get a fill. Let's go ahead and set a limit order. So let's set it at the natural price, which is the asking price of $310 or $3.10 in premium. Hit confirm and send it off. You can see it got filled in the top left, and if we go back to our monitor tab, we can see that position. However, it's a little bit confusing because we don't see anything, any quantity, we don't see days, trade price, nothing. It's mostly blank. So what's going on here? Well, it's hidden underneath Activision. If you click this arrow to the left, it's going to drop down all the positions of every kind, whether options or stock, and you can see the details of each position. So now we can see the call we own, quantity 1, how many days till expiration, the trade price, the last traded price, among some other information. And if you want to sell this call option, you can do the exact same thing in reverse, where we go back here and we sell it. And we can tell that we own this call option because there's a position symbol to the left. So we can sell it here, but again, I want to make sure that I'm selling the appropriate quantity and all that jazz. So I think it's personally best to close positions from the monitor tab. So we're going to right click that call, create closing order, sell one Activision call. So we can set the limit order again. We can set it at the natural price, which in this case is the bid price because we're selling. When you sell at the bid price, that's when you're going to get most likely an immediate fill. So once we reviewed this, make sure we're happy with it, which really the only thing you need to review is where you're setting your limit order. You're going to confirm and send it off. So it got filled. If I go back to the monitor tab, you can see our quantity is 0 and we're out of the trade. So that's how you trade options. You take a look at what expiration you want first. You open that up so you see a drop down. You change the strikes to the number of strikes you want to see. and then you select which call or put option you want to buy. Of course, you're probably interested in the Greeks like delta, vega, gamma, all that. You can see that by changing the layout here, where we can pop over to delta, gamma, theta, and it's going to pop in here, and we can see that information. Again, we're on demand, so it's not showing right now. What about spreads? If you want to open a debit spread, it's super easy. Just right click, go over buy a vertical. So you can see all sorts of different option strategies here. If I hit vertical, it's going to pull up that window where we can edit our trade, so we can change the strikes of the call we buy and sell. This first row is the call we're buying. The second row is the call we're selling. You see +1 and -1. So I can change the strikes of these. And this is a debit spread. You can tell because it's green. If I were to change these strikes so they're opposite of each other, it's going to go red, which means it's a credit spread. You're going to receive a credit for opening this trade. So kind of recapping right now, most of your time, again, it's going to be spent between charts and monitor. Charting, you're going to buy and sell stock either here using this trade tab or by right clicking on this stock price and selecting buy. Then you're going to monitor it in this tab, see how things are going over time. And then if you want to close it, you right click on it and close it. The only time you're going to a different tab when you're just working with the basics is when you're trading options. There you'll do it in the trade tab. You search up whatever ticker you want to trade options on, select an expiration date, select a strike when whether or not you want to buy calls or puts, and then when you're ready to buy, click the asking price. That'll automatically make it a buy order. Now, if you accidentally click the bid, it's no big deal because down here you can just switch from sell to buy. So it's a different day, and most of the previous bit of this video is already edited, and I'm so sorry for how depressed I sound. I will never make you sit through something like that again. Good God. Okay, let's make some watch lists. So you're gonna make your watch list in the side pane over here. And remember, this follows you wherever you go throughout the platform. So you can do this from any tab, except for maybe education or help. To see the watch list you already have, click on, it should say default right here, probably when you first open up ThinkorSwim. But there's a good plethora of default watch lists. We have Dow Jones Industrial Average, for example. We have a lot of ETFs. There's a ton in here that are default. You're gonna find your own watch list under personal. And I've already made quite a few, but you won't have any there. So let's go ahead and make a watch list. To do that, go to the bottom and click on create a watch list. We're gonna name it, so we'll call it ThinkorSwim tutorial. And here we can add whatever stocks we want. You can use this for making a watch list by sector, industry, or just your favorite stocks. Doesn't matter, let's add a few. Now that we've added some symbols, let's go ahead and save this guy. So again, to get to this watch list or any of your watch lists, you're going to click on this drop-down window, go to personal. This is where you're going to find all your watch lists. But one problem, when I click on these, it only pulls it up in this small chart down here, and that's not what I want. I want it up in this big chart. I want it to pop up every time I click on a ticker in my watch list. I want it to pop up in this big chart over here. Well, by default, it's kind of tucked away. The way to fix that, you won't be able to see it until you click on this bar and drag it out. Now you see that colored number. Remember how we use that to link things together between tabs? Same deal goes here. If I want this chart to reflect what I click on down here, this color and that color and number have to be the same. So since this is a yellow 2, I can switch this to a yellow 2. And now if I click on a ticker, it's gonna pull it up so that it's not just down here in this tiny little chart. Once these things are so familiar that they're like the back of your hand, it's gonna be much easier to learn more about the platform. Don't overwhelm yourself. Stick to what you know until you know it well, and then branch out. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you. Bye-bye.